to sell a finance, I want you to get a tenant in there, I want you to do whatever it is you do. What are you going to do with it?
Depends on the house. We're going to run comps on it first to make sure that we can actually get cash flow out of it. If it does not cash flow, I'm going to tell you to keep it.
When you say cash flow,
So we have a whole so we have a whole formula we work through. We're looking for a monthly cash flow. I won't buy houses without a monthly cash flow. There are people, there's a great guy right here in town, Zach Keeps. He will buy it on future appreciation, okay? But he's also got 300 homes here in Phoenix. So he's looking at a little bit different strategy than I do. I want the thing to cash flow right off the get-go. So we work that whole formula. If the formula does cash flow, and the nice thing about lease options and not rentals is you can usually get $100 to $200 higher than what the rental rate is because they're buying the house, okay? So once we get that comped, and if it does cash flow at that point in time, yeah, we take it down somehow. You mean if you just bring me a lead, is that what you're talking about?
No, I own the house.
You own the house, okay. Typically, I wouldn't do anything with you, okay? I want to own the house, okay? So I'd buy the house from you and make it cash flow, if it does.
What are you looking for a cash flow per month?
We typically look for a minimum of $300. If we're looking at like $200,000 houses or under. If it's over 200, I want more of 400 or 500. You know, as the values go up, I want more cash flow.
The cash flow you're talking about is the difference in the PITI to the market rent.
You're correct. PITI plus the extra insurance that you're going to have on sub-twos. If you have private money that you bring in, you're taking down that private money also. So that's the whole idea. Just like Anthony, when he bought his, he used a private money lender. So he didn't have to have any money out of his pocket. So he's looking at PITI on the sub-2. He's looking at the extra insurance he has to have because you have to have that with sub-2s. You got to leave the existing insurance in place. He also has to pay his private money lender each month. Whatever's left over from what he's renting that property for.
He's at $600 with the option?
With the option.
With the option.
Damn.
Yep. So we typically typically get anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 on an option fee up front. Okay. A lot of people don't have $30,000. Sometimes they don't have $15,000. But it depends on what market you're in. So we'll exercise what we call the option fee assistance program. So we'll take a minimum of $5,000 or $7,500 down, something like that, and we'll take payments on the other side of it. They still have skin in the game because you got to remember some of these markets we're buying houses for $30,000 and $40,000 is all, okay? And these are move-in ready houses, guys. They are around, okay? And these things cash flow like crazy. But when they're putting down $5,000, that could be their life savings. So they have skin in the game, and it's all about skin in the game. So as long as they've got skin in the game, at that point, we'll take an option fee payment along with the lease payment and do it that way until they get that paid off.
Over what period of time?
We try to keep it, I won't take anything less than $250 to get it paid off, but I won't let it go the whole 5 years either. We usually want it paid off in two to 3 years. So, but yeah, it's all about.
What were you thinking, Brandon? What was in your mind?
What's your idea here?
I'm just trying to understand.
Is your thought process to refinance when the rates are good, John?
Yes and no. So we have a lot of private money out there right now. So what I like to do is cycle that money.
Okay.
So we'll do a DSCR loan, which means that the property stands on its own value. It doesn't take my income into consideration or anything. And we'll take that. We'll do a DSCR loan. We'll get our private money back out. We'll take that private money and go invest it in another property. Okay. Right now I'm doing 13 of them.
And you're talking DSCR after you're doing the option. You're moving.
Yeah, they're already got people in them and that kind of stuff. I'm just taking the underlying loan, whether it be a straight cash deal that I've used private money to pay cash, or it could be a sub-2. I've got one sub-2 that I've got a private money lender that has $91,000 in it. I'm paying him high interest rate. So if you blend that interest rate, it makes more sense for me to take out both loans and do a DSCR loan at, I think they're right now, I just got it back today, is 6.95. Okay, I can live with that all day long for an investment, and it still cash flows. But the thing on that particular property, I'm putting $58,000 in my hip pocket, no taxes on a cash out. That's one property out of the 13 we're doing.
Are you buying aggressively on DSCR? I mean, on creatively?
Aggressively?
Yeah, like cheap, basically.
Not necessarily. I'll pay retail.
They're retail?
Sometimes I'll
You
pay
can start
over retail if the terms are right. I buy in terms. I'm not paying. You either buy cash, you buy low, or you buy terms. I buy terms. I'm a term buyer.
And you can still refi them on DSCR even if it's high?
Does it have to appraise?
It does have to appraise. Okay, so you may have to sit on it a little bit longer. Okay, and usually on a DSCR loan, if you want cash out, it's at 75%. If you just want to do what they call a rate and term and no cash out, it's at 80%. There are a couple companies out there that are doing 85%.
85%?
Yep.
So my thought, someone was either that house in Tucson, either rent it out or give it to John and have John do whatever he does.
So don't
Yeah.
rent it out. Let's do a lease option for you and set it up. Just talk to me. We'll figure it out. Yeah, you don't want to be a landlord.
Second question, what did you hate about developing? Well, other than the 2008 market crash, we understand that.
Dealing with contractors, dealing with the general, dealing with the frickin' subs. I'd make an appointment to meet them up there and they never frickin' show. And of course, from driving from here clear to Cave Creek was an hour, hour and a half sometimes in traffic. They never show. And they always wanted to show up at daybreak, which is fine, but they never come. It just, you couldn't get anything done. I had to fire, what did we go through? 3 general contractors to get the houses done. It was a pain in the fucking ass. I hated it.
And we
Plus,
did one house at a time, and were these spec houses?
they were spec houses. The problem is you, because they're $1 million homes, so you got a lot of cash involved in these things, and it takes you however long to build out. And the first one we did, I mean, it took forever because we had to fire the generals because they didn't get it done, and then they fucked up the house anyway. You know, we ended up selling it. It's just a pain. I just don't like that side of it because I can't have control of it. I like the passive income.
Good questions. Anybody else? You had your hand raised.
Yeah, I did have my hand up. So I'm super green in this. Started working with John a day and a half ago, maybe. Okay. Maybe, because I've spoken to him, maybe he can repeat it again, because there might be other people here that need to hear this, but like, for somebody like myself who's coming into this, like, it's kind of like, well, where's the best place to start? Because I don't like banging my head against the wall and have to wait 96 months, a year down the road to figure things out. I like to try to get things ahead of the curve sooner, you know? So like, what's the best way to jump in and like really find a way to get off the ground as quickly as possible? Because first of all, I'm impatient. A, B, I do want to get moving, and I don't want to like waste my time. I want to make the smart moves early so that I don't have to look back like, God, I wish I'd done this sooner. I wish I'd been paying attention. So like, from your point of view, starting with you maybe, Tony, what's like the best thing that you can do? Something like me,
You work here?
just started, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm fortunate enough I've known John for 15 years. I'm able to call him when I need his help and get his opinion on certain things. He was helping me try to buy a house out here on Creative. And like for you to be in this office, I think, you're in the right environment. Obviously, you got one of the most knowledgeable people here. And I would say just listen to everything this man tells you and don't question it. He's been doing this for 30 years. And he has such a good program here. It's like, I'm sure you can give access to the course to the team and let them understand everything. And whenever anybody gets my course, I tell them, watch it 30 minutes a day just to consume it. You don't have to watch it all at once because you're not going to remember anything. So like if you were watching, John's course 30 minutes a day indefinitely, you're going to retain all that information. And just being here every day, you're going to learn pretty quick. So I think you're in a good spot. Yeah. But it's always, take the elevator, not the stairs. And that is, buying courses and learning from people and going to events, YouTube University. Like you just got like, if I'm working on something like one of my old shitty cars and I like have to replace something and I've never done it before, I mean, I get obsessed with that and I'll watch videos and read up on what I'm trying to do for, a week until the part gets there. So I'm an expert on it by the time I do it. Like if you're not obsessed with whatever you're doing, you're just not going to be the best at it. Like you got to be obsessed with whatever you're doing, especially in the beginning. You got to, live, breathe, eat it, everything. Like you just got to be so consumed with it to get to the next level, because anybody could come in and go through the motions, but the people that are at the top of their game are completely obsessed with what they're doing.
Guys, I've been doing this for 31 years, and this new land thing, I'm excited. We sat in here 2 Saturdays ago. Most of our team was here, went through a full 4-hour training. The minute he said the price on that course, how fast I jump out of that seat.
He was gone.
I bought a course.
5 seconds.
I'm studying 2 other people that do the same thing, but differently. I'm buying both of those courses because I'm not going to do it the hard way. I'm going to get the coaching because it's the way to do it. And I'm going to take those 3 coaches and make it our thing. Okay? So if you're not in an organization like this, get a freaking coach and get one that has done the business and is staying in the business and is staying active in it. Okay? He's active. He's active. We're definitely active. There are coaches out there that aren't active anymore. Okay? And they're not staying relative to what's happening in the market.
100%.
Yep.
Yep. And you like people have this misconception. I mean, we'll fucking spend $100,000 on college to get a $40,000 job, but we don't want to spend 10 grand on a coach to make $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're so fucked up in this country. But
Agreed.
I mean, somebody like Harlan, these guys paid good money to come to our mastermind in November. Harlan had done 1 wholesale deal in his life, comes to our mastermind, learns, and I will tell you, and I say it on our calls, because he's on the Misfits calls as well, with like, this dude takes action. And anytime anybody's on that is teaching and he's like, damn, that guy has knowledge I want, he gets the fucking course and he learns. And he's doing, I mean, he's grossing 60, 70 grand a month right now with a very, very small overhead and very small team, and he's crushing it. And like I was thinking about this last night, because all these, I don't want to go on a rant here, but I was all pissed off last night because of this fucking guy who sends us deals and bitches about shit, and I'm like, he doesn't, one of my students does not listen to a fucking thing we say, and then he bitches that he can't get results. And then I started thinking, like, out of everybody I've coached over the last couple of years, who pisses me off the most? It's these motherfuckers that don't implement what I fucking tell them. And who do I like the most? I mean, I fucking went and picked up Harlan from the airport this morning.
Oh, he likes
because
you.
I love him. Because he fucking listens to what we say, he does it, and guess what? It works. And he's gonna be a fucking rich man one day. So I don't even know where I was going with that. But I just wanted to say, pay the money for the coaching, because it's going to cost you a lot more money and time doing it the other way. And whatever, if you're paying somebody 10 grand to coach them, fucking do what they're telling you. Like, it blows my mind. People will drop money and just not listen to you. It's like, why did you even pay me? So, we've done it. These guys do it. And it's like, if you're paying somebody, just listen to them and just shut the fuck up and do it. And you're going to be successful when you find the right coach. Go all in with it.
We're talking about coaching. I'm part of his Misfits.
Right.
Do I learn shit from this guy? Absolutely. Okay? He does it something different than what we do, but we always take nuggets. And I'm on almost every call, or I try to be. But it's like, and I'm a member. She's a member through here, and we're on it most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that it?
There's got to be more questions.
Is there more questions? Anybody?
Augustina, you got anything?
I guess, how do you break the fear of just getting like
Fear is like
active?
fog, baby. You gotta walk through it.
So I tried, just like I did some door knocking, I did some phone calls, and I'm still paralyzed. And then I'm texting Tanya, I was like, please help. So that's what
How do you get rid of the
It's
fear?
going to take reps. Like anything you do in the beginning, you're going to be nervous, right? And that's across the board. Like you're just going to be nervous, but the more reps you get in, the less nervous you get, the less scared you are, the more confidence you gain. But I always look at it like this, because I think the anxiety comes from like this huge picture. And if you're around people that are doing a ton of deals, or you come to these events and you see people you know, that have been doing this 31 years, and Ryan with all his success, and it's like, holy shit, all this is going on. It's like information over, I'll never be able to do that. It's like, give yourself fucking 30 days.
Yeah.
Like, just commit to it. And even if 30 days is too much, give yourself 24 hours and say, you know what, for the next 24 hours, I'm gonna make 40 phone calls no matter what. I'm not gonna let myself sleep tonight unless I do that. If you gotta do it 24 hours at a time, I promise you, you do that a couple times, you do that days in a row, like I said, your 10th call is 10 times easier than your first call. Your 100th call is 100 times easier than your 10th call. Your 1,000th call is 1,000 times easier than your 100th call. That's just the way it goes, you know? And I'm not gonna, I wasn't super fearful of getting on the phones, but I had 13 years of experience of selling stuff in person, you know? And it was kind of the same thing just on a telephone. But when I first started selling bikes at my bike shop, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. You know, I sold a bike to Brandon. That's how I met him. And we became, you know, really good friends. But it just, you know, you just got to give yourself those goals. Today, this is the goal. I swear to God, if you do it one day, then day 2 is going to be so much easier.
Take action. You gotta take action.
Have you ever burnt yourself out? Like, felt burnt out? Like, you just want
Absolutely.
I don't wake up every day like excited about 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom houses. I wake up thankful that I'm not at a 9-to-5 and have the perspective of the opportunity every single day that we all have. You know, passion, I think that we've talked about a lot today, comes from your why. It doesn't come from necessarily the action of what you're doing every day. So.
There's the misconception, like people hear you own your own business or you're an entrepreneur, they're like, damn, you get to do whatever the fuck you want.
No.
It's like, I mean, I work 7 fucking days a week, 10, 12 hours a day, holidays, weekends, you know, it's not like this glorious thing that most people think, but I would not have it any other way. I mean, I couldn't see, I mean, could you see me with a fucking boss?
No.
No, I mean, it'd be insane.
And you set your own destiny.
Yeah.
You know, if you go belly up, it's your fault. Take different action, pivot. We've all talked about pivoting and so forth.
Dude, that is a common theme. All these questions, everybody up here survived because of hard work and pivoting. That's all it fucking takes is if you get up every day and you work hard, there's 2 options. You either fucking get up and work hard and never quit, or you fucking fail. Those are your 2 options. Because I guarantee if you get up every day and do what you're supposed to do, it might take 6 months, it might take a year. For me in my first business, I struggled for 5 years before I started making good money. But after that 5 years, ever since then, it's been good. So it could, like in this business, for me, it took a couple of months. You know, it just depends. But if you just quit, you never had the option of being successful.
Yep.
And this isn't a one-size-fits-all. Every single one of us here does something very different.
Yes.
So what I found is that, going back to even to my story, like the comparison side, that is literally the thief of all joy. So what you have to do is figure out what you're trying to accomplish first and then reverse engineer it. It doesn't mean if you want to go develop projects that you start developing today. Both of them are talking about developments, but they didn't start there. So if what you want to do is not attainable right this minute, what can you learn today that's going to get you closer to that goal tomorrow?
And we were talking earlier, there are so many different ways to make money in real estate. So many different ways. Find your niche. Once you find the niche, stay in your lane and run with it. That's what this guy did. That's what this guy did. You know, everybody's tried to get me to go to Airbnbs and do this and do that. I stay in my lane. I know it works.
Like we were going to all these different events and we were a part of 2 masterminds when we first started. And, you know, we were finding a lot of success with the wholesale side of it. And then it was like, everybody's like, well, now you guys are killing it wholesaling. Now you got to start flipping. Now you got to start buying and holding. Now you got to do innovations. Now you got to do creative. And that's when we bought all these rentals all over the place. And I was spread way too thin. I didn't know how to fucking manage them. And then I was like, I just woke up one day and came into the office. I was like, well, we can just be the best wholesalers in the country. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't got to fucking do all this other shit. And then I dialed it back down, waited another year till I started flipping. So I think John's dead on there. It's like once you find your lane, just fucking stay in it and get really good at it, get your systems and processes down, and then you start adding stuff onto it, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have another question. Tell me about how you found your niche. Like, stumble into it? Did it like, I really like this one the most, so I'm gonna keep going with this? Like, what was like the thing that?
I ran out of money.
Me too.
Coaching, training, development background, it's not always easy to teach somebody how to find their niche, because you can't just tell them, because they don't know either. It's almost like an inward process, but how did you find it?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I literally lost all my money. I listened to everybody else, and then when I lost it all, I had gone to 2 mentors that I had at the time, and I was in tears at a coffee shop, and they were both like, one was like, you're fucked. And then the other one was like, well, why don't you go work with realtors? And I was like, well, I'm a realtor. That's my competition. And so then once the mindset shift happened that I can be the client and I don't need to always just be the realtor in the transaction, I just went like a madman submitting a bunch of offers and having conversations, not because I wanted to, but because I didn't have another choice. Once I got a deal, it was $30K, which was like 3 times the average of what I was making direct to seller. And I was like, holy shit, I'm at a crossroad. I keep doing what I just did before that clearly didn't work, or I just do what I did right now that worked that didn't cost me anything. So that's what I did. And since then, I, again, mentioned laziness earlier. I would say most of it for me is that I found that I'm really good at working with realtors because I was a traditional agent before becoming an investor. And I wasn't just a realtor helping people buy and sell. I was commercial, business broker, leasing, building a team, on a team, ISA. I ran all the fucking parts of being on a team that I could tell you what a realtor thinks, feels, wants almost every day. I probably know more about him than he even knows. I don't even know your name. What's your name? Yeah, see, I knew that.
And you just said something. You did all of this.
I wore every hat in a traditional
And
side.
you finally whittled down and you found the lane you need to be in.
After not listening to what I had even learned my first 3 years, if I had known to just work with realtors, I would have never invested into the program I did. I would have never invested into money in marketing. And that's not, again, to say that that strategy doesn't work. They do it very well. It didn't work for me because I'm not a systems guy and I didn't have the consistent follow through that it requires when you're spending that kind of money every month.
Yeah, I mean, you need lead flow first. Like, I mean, Ryan's become a master of what he does on market. Like, I believe, I'm going to contradict you a little bit, but no slight on you. But I think the masses, when you look at the big picture, I think that being direct to seller on a transaction, like, you got to think of 2 things. When you're getting started in real estate, like, what is the first step? And we talked about this at the Sub 2 meetup that I spoke at, where it's like everybody had these, squirrel brains of like, I want an Airbnb, I want a bunch of rentals, I want to lock up Sub 2 deals to hold rentals, and everybody had all these ideas, and I'm like, how many people have done a deal? 1 person out of like 20 something. And I'm like, okay, well, why is that? It's because you don't have lead flow, you're not direct to seller, you're not controlling a transaction, and you don't have, and everybody there was broke. Because there's no active income. Like, you need active income before you can get passive income. It's not a magic pill where all of a sudden you can just buy all these damn properties and all of a sudden you got passive income. Like, you need some type of active income. And is that a job? Great. Then that can be your active income while you figure something out. But at the same time, with real estate, wholesaling is the active income, right? And it's like you can wholesale, get an active income, start making good money to the point where now you're not buying properties for cash flow, you're buying them because you're making so much fucking money and need the depreciation on your taxes. That's why you should buy your first property. And then it's like, all right, from there, now what do I want to do? How do I want to get into this real estate game? I'm actively wholesaling, I've got it dialed in, I'm making 20, 30, 50 grand a month. Now I want to start flipping and make 100 grand on these flips. Now I need to buy and hold because my tax liability. Then all of a sudden you're buying all these properties on seller finance and all this other stuff. And then it's like, all right, now I want to develop. Now I want to become the bank, like John talked about. Like, that's the progression of this thing, right? You can't just wake up one day and say, I'm gonna be a hard money lender, or I'm gonna build a house.
I can change my Instagram bio.
So like it's a progression. Like, what is your active income? How are you surviving? And if you want to get in the real estate game, why not have that active income be real estate? And why not have it direct to seller where you're getting these deals so damn cheap you can't fuck them up? Like, I've done 10 flips and I've made $100,000 on every flip in the last year and a half, like across the board. Because I get them so cheap, I can't fuck them up. I've only walked in 1 of those properties. The rest I got under contract over the phone, found an agent over the phone, found a contractor over the phone, sold it over the phone, never even touched the property, and I've made $1 million on 10 houses where I've only even been in one of them. So it's like you need to be direct to seller though to get that deal so cheap that you can get those big rips on it where it's not super risky.
I don't disagree. Bigger spread direct to seller, a lot less risk in the deal usually. I always say the same thing, like your roadmap you just referenced is beautiful. I always say it like freshman to senior year. Freshman year is acquisitions and wholesaling. Sophomore year is fixing and flipping. Usually if you're just say one deal per month, you're wholesaling 12 deals on the year. I don't care how good or bad you are. You could pick one of them and flip that deal and make $50,000 to $100,000 on that flip. Congrats, now you're in a different tax bracket. Like you said, buying and holding now to lower your tax bill. Everything else is senior year. I love it.
Real quick, so for like people starting up, what would you say is a good monthly cash burn to get that lead flow, and what should you kind of commit to?
Yeah, I think with any marketing strategy, it's going to cost you $2,000 to $3,000 to get enough leads to get at least one contract. Whether that's Facebook leads, mail, cold calling, it kind of all works the same. Like if you really break down the numbers, one cold caller is going to cost you, with the data, skip trace, is going to cost you about $2,300 a month. They're going to get you 40 to 50 leads. And we were locking up 1 out of 30, but if you can't lock up 1 out of 50, then you need more training. So like out of those 50 leads, you should definitely be able to get a contract. If you're putting mailers out, $2,500 a spend on mailers, you're probably not gonna get as many leads, but the leads are gonna be hotter and you can lock up 1 out of 10. Maybe get 10 leads out of that mail marketing. Same with Facebook. It's like if you're spending $2,500 on Facebook, it's like you're gonna get enough leads to where you're, 1 out of 20 leads you're gonna convert, you're gonna get 20 leads out of that or something. So it's all about the same, $2,000 to $3,000 to get a deal is kind of there's variations obviously. Or do what fucking Ryan does and get on market shit, you're not paying a dollar. Like there's no slight on Ryan on that, I just don't do it, but I did it for my house I bought here. I got it 225 grand off because I got it on, well, it was an expired listing, but still. There's people that I know, there's somebody in our community too, that all he does is on market double wides and he fucking kills it. He's done over 150 grand or something this year.
170.
170. He's made 170 grand this year, literally by just setting his criteria on Zillow to double wides in Wake County. And every time a double wide hits the market, he's the first one to call the agent, lowballs him, gets it under contract, and wholesales it. He's spent zero money in marketing, zero money with anything. I mean, the guy's a fucking hippie.
Is he an unlicensed investor or is he licensed?
Unlicensed. Like he hasn't spent $1 on marketing, and
I got a question for you then.
Yeah.
You have $2,500 to $5,000. Do you go direct to seller with that budget, or do you invest into mentorship?
You need, so I would say if you have no sales experience and don't know how to lock up a deal, you're going to waste your money on the marketing.
So you invest in the mentorship, you look to JV and learn from somebody in that community, or do you invest into education, give yourself 30, 60, 90 days to recoup some cash, and then invest into marketing?
I think like everybody should just learn fucking sales. Like you shouldn't be thinking about like dispo or anything, and that's what I teach, but just worry about getting a goddamn contract. And it might cost you, okay, $2,500 to get a sales course and some scripts and a sales process, and then it's probably going to cost you another $2,500 to get that deal in with your marketing and your lead flow. So, people say getting into wholesaling and all this shit, you can do it for free and all this stuff. It's bullshit. Like, you need some fucking capital.
Hang on.
Besides Ryan. But I mean, but how much money did you spend in education and stuff before you converted?
Like 130.
Yeah, before you went over to
Education
on-market.
and direct to seller. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he had knowledge before he started doing this strategy. He didn't just wake up one day and say, "I'm gonna start locking up deals on the MLS."
Correct. Had I not been a realtor, it wouldn't have. I don't think it
Yeah.
would
So like, you need both. You need to learn a sales process. You need to have the scripts and contracts, but who you gonna talk to once you have that knowledge? So I would say, like, I always tell people, like, if you got a spare 10 grand that you can gamble, then you can definitely get something going in wholesaling, because if you're spending a little bit on education and $2,500 on leads a month, that deal you get the first month isn't going to close for another 30 days. So that next month, are you just going to run out of money? Or are you going to spend another $2,500, get another lead, maybe two deals, right? And then it's like, by the end of the 3 months, you spent 10 grand, but now you got 2 deals ready to fund, and you're going to make 30 on it, and then it kind of goes from there. So I think like 10 grand is the minimum number to comfortably get started, where you're not fucking panicking. Mm-hmm.
Other questions?
That's it? Kirsten, do you have any questions for me?
I just asked a shit ton of questions. What are you talking about?
Well, give it up to Kirsten for
Yeah,
such
no
a
doubt.
good job up here
Thank
as the, what are we calling you? The host, the moderator,
MC.
I'm the MC.
the MC, the referee?
Sure. I'm
right.
going to be the judge now next.
All right, go ahead.
How do you get good at sales?
How do you what?
Get good at sales.
Practice.
Yeah, I mean, I think with
Sales
sales, you need, like in this business, I think you definitely need a script. Like, some people teach you don't need a script. You need a fucking script to go off of to have an educated conversation, especially in the beginning. Like the first call I ever made wholesaling, I closed and got a contract. But I literally didn't know what the fuck I was
That's
doing.
unusual.
Yeah, I was gonna say down dog.
I literally just read a fucking script, and then when the conversation got off script, I built rapport with the seller for 20 minutes, and I went back to the script and kept pitching them, and I got it under contract. And I actually clicked on a lead, called them, and accidentally clicked another lead. And I was telling him his house was in fucking Jacksonville, Florida, but it was in Memphis, Tennessee. And I told him 6 times his house was in Jacksonville, and he's like, it's not. So but I got it under contract. I built some rapport, and I followed a script. And like that, I think that's super important, when you're first getting started. And you're gonna find, it's great to get all this influence from social media, and it's great to hear all these people on the phones. But, if you look like at me and, even my partner, Eric, his sales voice and the way he talks to people on the phone is completely different from me. But we get the same results. So you can find your own style with a process and a script. I could read a script to a seller, and Harlan could read the same script, and it could be 2 different conversations, but you gotta have, bullet points and a system and a process of getting a deal. So I think a script is definitely gonna help. I need a bottle of water. Uzi, my man, thank you.
Anything
Going
else?
once.
Best barber in Phoenix right here,
Going
guys.
twice.
Go see him. Uzi, the man.
I'm good, thanks, Ben.
Going.
What else? Who else?
Gone.
What else we got? Anybody?
Anybody?
Gary,
Tony's-
you got anything?
Tony's trying to stall because he doesn't want to do the comp contest.
Yeah, man.
Pro real estate license or anti-real estate license? Or doesn't
Pro.
matter?
Why pro?
Wholesaling regulations are going to require it eventually. But then the other side is I'm a capitalist. I make like literally 150, 200K a year from commission, and I don't show houses. So if you can get a license, you could get commission paid by the seller. It's a little bit of an extra step now, but you can get the commission paid by the seller. You can get referrals for deals out of state that you send to other realtors. And then whenever you buy a house, usually just apply whatever your closing costs are towards, or your commission towards closing costs, or don't pay yourself because you're listing it yourself. So there's just more ways to make money
With the license? You said?
with the license. And then again, just elephant in the room, if the regulations require it, it's a moot point, you're gonna need it.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. And it's such a good thing to have because when you're getting your leads from whatever lead source you're doing, not every one of those leads is going to want to sell you their house at 50 cents on the dollar, right? Most are not. So, like, what a great pivot if it's in your backyard to say, okay, well, you want top dollar for this thing. How about I just list it for you, right? Or, I mean, if you're not an agent, you can refer them to an agent and get a point of the commission. You know, there's ways to make money off of those leads, but I mean, I agree with Ryan. I think, you know, being an agent definitely helps. I'm not an agent.
There are advantages. I agree with what he's saying, especially with what's happening with wholesaling. With what we do here with the creative stuff, I don't want to be regulated so tightly
get it.
because if I do have my license and the board finds out, we get threatened a lot. Oh, we're going to call your board. Go ahead. I'm not licensed. It's not going to affect me. So creative stuff is a little different than what both guys are doing.
The only thing I will say to that
So-
too is that a lot of the commissioners are looking at the wholesaling regulation requiring a license, but then the irony, the hypocrisy is that when you get the license, most brokerages don't want to take responsibility for you.
Correct.
Why? Because they don't get anything from your investment deals. So you're a huge liability with no upside for them. So they usually make you sign away documents that give away any liability or right to the issue from the broker. So you're extremely liable as a realtor, like what you're talking about.
Yep.
And most brokerages are not all that investor friendly. They're starting to become that way. But with that said, having the license, it doesn't always work in your favor depending on your strategy.
Correct.
So having a realtor on your team, it's a workaround.
And it's different because he works here in Phoenix, okay? We're nationwide. I'd have to be licensed in every single state that I'm working in, which makes no sense.
Yeah, and even then,
For what I do.
It only work if you're at either an MLM brokerage, you have a bunch of people nationwide,
Yeah.
or you're in one state at a smaller boutique brokerage and you have connections across
Correct.
the major metros,
Yep.
and you're getting referrals. But even then, you're working your ass off for percentages of
Exactly.
percentages.
Yeah, exactly. So it just depends on your lane.